Nate Atkins, Colts insider for the Indianapolis Star, had a lot of really good things talking about the 10 thoughts on Jonathan Taylor's contract standoff with the Colts. And Nate joins us from Colts camp. All right, give us the sort of Cliff Notes version here, Nate. How did we get to this point with Jonathan Taylor and Jim Irsay?
Man, this has been something that's been building really since last season ended. Jonathan Taylor coming off of a high ankle sprain, needed ankle surgery, got it in January, and then was entering, a contract year. And he felt at the time that he was going to be able to just kind of play it the way he's always played it, which is nice guy, team player, all of that. This team has rewarded player after player heading into their contract year, whether it's Quentin Nelson, Shaquille Leonard, Braden Smith, on and on. And then when he got to somewhere around May, realized that the offers weren't coming. The Colts were kind of in a new place with Shane Steichen. They wanted to let some things play out. They wanted to see how his health was going to be. So he switched up agents. And ever since that moment, it's just kind of ramped up to where the offer's not coming, training camp arriving, the threat of having to practice and risk that more injury without security just got him in a place where he didn't really know what to do. And so it's just really ramped up to the point where they met on a bus, Jonathan Taylor and Jim Irsay, what was that, 2 days ago, and met for an hour and realized that they were not anywhere close together. And that's when it came out that he's requested a trade. And Jim Irsay talked to us and many other outlets and said, we're not trading him. And so this has become just an ultimate stare down of two sides that just flat out don't trust each other. But there's not really a clear resolution because the Colts value him enough to want him to be here for Anthony Richardson, help him support him for this year, but not promise anything beyond that and not promise a negotiation until after the season ends, which is obviously not what Jonathan Taylor wants.
Okay, yeah, Jonathan Taylor switched agents. Saquon Barkley switched agents. What are they hoping to get from the new agents that they didn't get from the old agents as far as getting more money?
It's really just a new negotiating tactic. Like I said, Jonathan's grown up here in the Colts the past 3 years where just a year ago at this time, Quentin Nelson was in the exact same spot. And the Colts, when we talked to Chris Ballard, said, I'm not going to talk contracts, but Quentin Nelson's a Colt. It's going to happen. And then the night before the season, he gets $60 million guaranteed in the biggest contract in the history of football for a guard. And so Jonathan thought as the clear best player in that offense back in at least 2021 when he won the rushing title, I think he just thought it was a formality. And the fact that it got so long into almost June and realized he hasn't even gotten a single offer, not even a lowball offer from them. It just was so out of character with what he'd seen so far. And he just decided, I don't know what else to do. He's trying to get ahead of it. Right as the running back market is crumbling, it's not, he's just not sure what cards to play. So he decided to kind of move it to a nuclear level. Mm-hmm. And the Colts really didn't give him any other options because they didn't make a lowball offer that he could even say, okay, I can take some kind of offer that's out there. To him, no offer just means no options.
Tell me what Jim Irsay is saying in this soundbite.
If I die tonight and Jonathan Taylor's out of the league, no one's going to miss us. The league goes on. I mean, we know that. The National Football rolls on. It doesn't matter, who comes and who goes.
Where'd this come from?
I'd actually ask that question to Jim Irsay, not on that topic. I was just trying to get him to open up on the debriefing meeting on the bus. And as best I can tell, I think his message to Jonathan is just like, you need to realize the spot you're in, the opportunity you have to go out there and build something dynamic with Anthony Richardson. And the message he's trying to put out there is if you bet on yourself, have a big year and a contract year, that it'll all work out. But you understand why in this current state of the running back market, why Jonathan's not listening to that, especially when there's that franchise tag lingering out there that teams use all the time on running backs. There's no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow right now for running backs. The pot of gold is a franchise tag that was initially designed as a window to get a long-term deal done. Instead, what it looks like to running backs is a way to just rent them, run up the mileage on their carries and their health, and then send them into free agency as some lower version of themselves. So it's a message Irsay thought he could get through of like, come on, be a team player, get on board with this thing. And Jonathan's like, okay, show it through some kind of action.
But we're talking to Nate Atkins. He covers the Colts for the Indianapolis Star. The more I thought about it, it's personal for the player. It's business for the owner. But here is an owner who inherited a team. Jonathan Taylor is working for his money. Jim Irsay got his money. He was given his money. He woke up on third base. And I'm sure he's done things to enhance the value and all that. But Jonathan Taylor is going, this is my livelihood here. So the disconnect may be how each other views one another. He's business, this is personal, and they've maintained those battle lines.
Oh, it's absolutely that. And that's why that comment, I think, has gotten so much, dialogue, is that to compare the privilege of an NFL owner to a running back right now is just kind of very out of line. Of course, in that analogy, yes, Jim Irsay could die tomorrow, but there's not a real present threat that could have him out of his position in this league in 2 years. Whereas for Jonathan Taylor, another couple injuries, serious injuries, and that's exactly what he's facing. And he will have not, he doesn't have the generational wealth to fall back on. Whereas if Jim Irsay, if he decided, if for some reason he got edged out of being an owner, he's still set up financially for life. So is his kids and his grandkids. Jonathan just got married this past spring. So he's wondering, when do I get even anything that looks remotely like that privilege that you're talking about? And that's why the disconnect just keeps on growing.
Good to talk to you, Nate. Thanks. We'll be following. We appreciate your time.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Nate Atkins covers the Colts for the Indianapolis Star.